I'm curious, like when you talk to archaeologists and they refer to like different sections of history where there's more kind of in the dirt that they can find. You've mentioned newspapers as being one of your primary sources for a lot of this information, and we're seeing a lot of newspapers dying in our state right now. So do you think this kind of period in Kansas history is going to be less covered than previous ones?
It's hard to say. Well, the problem is digital communications are so easy to lose, and we move on technology-wise so much from it. Like, say we shared everything on MySpace. Well, MySpace isn't the thing anymore.
Yeah.
So is that being preserved? Perfect case in point. So in the Civil War, there were telegrams being sent between generals and soldiers. So they're like, why did General Grant decide to do this? Oh, well, we have the telegram, him telling one of his subordinates, hey, attack tomorrow. So we have all this record. We have all these telegrams, all these letters, all these like commands from like those days. There's such a flood of stuff from the Civil War and then later wars as well. But for example, the NATO campaign in Kosovo in 1999, they were getting systems that were more like text messages between planes, tanks, and integrated forces. And there was a historian that I talked to about this when I was going to archives management at Maryland. That was my master's degree. And he said he was embedded with the Army, and his job was to get all the orders. So if they tell these jets do this, or coordinate with these tanks to do that, it was just being uploaded on the computers and just deleted later. Oh, it's full. And he had to go around with boxes of 3.5-inch floppies. Remember back in the day?
Oh my
And
gosh.
he had to go in all the machines and he had to like argue with generals to get, and they were like felt like he's stepping on their toes, and what do you need this stuff for, and blah blah blah. And he's like, I have authority to like record what we need to know why these decisions were being made on the ground these days. So he ended up with like hundreds of boxes of these like 3.5-inch floppies, and then it's like, okay, now we have this has to be converted to something. So there was these conversion projects to get that digitized, and it's easy to lose this stuff if technology moves on, and if there's not newspapers. But like we're using people are communicating with Telegram or Snapchat or whatever. I think there's more information than ever, but it's so
less durable, maybe
ephemeral.
than ever.
Yeah. So and sometimes then technology moves forward so much. So in archives, like we had a situation where we had a bunch of punch cards at National Archives 2 in College Park, Maryland, and they were from the Vietnam War. And basically, anytime they did a shipment of any kind of food, guns, medicine, whatever, to Vietnam, the Army kept track on these punch cards for like the payment system. And then eventually they just like shipped it, and it just sat in a warehouse, and eventually it got retired to the National Archives. And it sat forever. And then the archives eventually like, okay, we need to run these things and figure out what these meant so we can make a better analysis of what the Army was spending money on, where they were at the time, and how much was U.S. involvement in Vietnam in this place during this year, and why were these decisions made. But they realized there was like one or two machines left that could even read this. And the only men that knew how to work them were like 85 years old.
Oh my gosh.
So they had to beg these guys to come out of retirement and help wire up the machines and fix them again so they could run these things, and get a team of tech guys in to somehow get these machines to talk to modern tech and get the information off them. It was something above my level pay grade, but they did it. So it's a constant struggle in the archives world to capture information and preserve it properly to where future generations aren't looking at it like, what is this? Because I'll have boxes, I'll have court cases that have audio from like a proceeding, and it'll be a record. I'm like, okay, we sell record players, so that's fine, I guess. But like sometimes there's a 3 or 5-inch floppy. I'm like, I think they have one of those
Pull out
downtown.
that 8-track.
Yeah, I'm like, we need to, but that kind of stuff like magnetic tape deteriorates, so that needs to go into like cold storage and stuff.